y'all came at my TikTok and we were talking about the Keystone Pipeline situation where the Native Americans for the past 10 years have been fighting against this pipeline. And so many people were coming out the pocket saying that the pipeline was good, even though I had read tons of evidence that this thing was not good for the environment. And Biden got rid of it. And they want to sit here and say, well, why did Biden get rid of it? Biden's a horrible person because we need this oil or blah, blah, blah. But the Native Americans have spoken. And what Biden did is what I love is that he listened. Okay, I don't really care about your guys' investment in oil. What I care about is that the people, indigenous people of this country, are being heard. And let me tell you something. I don't feel as an African American that we have been heard in this country. We are completely overlooked about of our issues. In fact, I feel like we are still being bullied still to this day because they just want to use us for their own benefit, still even in a societal contract.
Absolutely. So, and
You
Andrea, let me
understand?
say,
Like it's not even a joke. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
no, and
Go
Andrea, first of all, let me say to you, good morning.
ahead. Good morning. Yeah.
I'm glad that Hawaii was spared from the tsunamis that went out.
Let me tell you, I
And I
had
was
to tell
even
my whole family to stay away from the water.
right. And it's
They just
funny
don't
you have to
understand.
tell
Like
them,
you
hey,
don't
stay
go.
off the beach.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. You really do. Like it's like, okay, don't go near the water. Stay inland.
You find yourself start sounding like a Jaws movie, you know.
Oh yeah.
But I'm glad to know that Hawaii was spared and
Yeah.
you didn't have to go through what some of the people in Tonga were going through. Um,
Oh
but I wanted to touch base with
yeah.
you. Oh my God, I'm getting an echo. Do you
God
hear
bless
that?
Tonga. Yeah, there's too. I can hear you. There's just a little bit of a lag. I kind of feel like right now we're like,
Okay.
you know, the newscasters when like they report the news and then like, did you?
Hello, Andrea. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes, I know what you mean. But so a couple of things I wanted to touch on. I heard you talking about the Keystone XL pipeline, and a lot of people believe when I've gone into my
Yeah.
lives, I've put up a background that said which pipeline did Joe Biden shut down, and right away people will go the Keystone pipeline, right? The the Keystone pipeline has been in existence since 2010. The Keystone XL pipeline, it is what they shut down. And all that pipeline was going to do was cut 4 hours worth of travel time off the oil from the salt or the sand flats in Canada. Okay. The oil is still flowing into this country. It's going to several different refineries. About 75 to 80% of it is actually being shipped out to go to Asia and other countries.
Okay.
Only 20 to 25% of that oil is actually for this country. And people get all up in arms over this XL pipeline, which they don't know the difference. Um, and you were absolutely spot on when you said Native Americans, every treaty, almost every single treaty that the United States has broken with Native Americans, they have violated that treaty and completely spit on it. And imagine if your ancestral burial ground, if a pipeline was going to run through the burial ground where your great grandparents were and uproot their graves,
Yeah.
their final resting place, you'd be pissed,
Right.
and
But
that's
last
the whole
night,
thing with the
yeah, go ahead.
pipeline.
Yeah, but last night there's people actually in the industry that came here. They love the topic and decided to kind of like bash the Native Americans, saying that they are corrupt, saying so many negative things, saying that they're misusing the money and not owning up to the treaty that they agreed to.
No, I
There
completely
was a
disagree
sense
with
of
that.
blaming the Native Americans for whatever reason. And I just can't rock with that. I don't know if you guys realize this, but most African Americans do have Native American blood. And I believe that I could be one of them because I'm Creole. It's just not okay to bash Native Americans knowing what they've been through. I'm talking about the indigenous ones that are majority Native American, which I wouldn't take credit from them. But what I'm saying is, how could they sit there and blame these people with all the things that have happened to
Hmm.
them? I really didn't see the difference the way they were talking about Native Americans last night, and the way that they talk about black people. Like, basically, they need to get over the smallpox blankets and centuries of oppression, the Trail of Tears. I mean, the Native Americans don't have, I guess, what is it called? They don't have they don't trust the government. How do you say that?
No, you said it absolutely correctly because, and like I said,
They
almost
don't have
every
they don't,
treaty
yeah, they haven't given them a right
that
to
has
trust them yet. Go ahead.
exactly almost every treaty that the United States has brokered with Native Americans, almost every single one of them has been broken and lambasted, and they will sit there and they will say, "Well, we need this," and then America, the United States government goes, "Okay, we'll give you that.
Yeah.
We want this to be a protected burial ground," and they say, "Okay." But then they turn around and they say, well, we're going to build a pipeline right through the middle of it. So they don't have, going back from the days of Christopher Columbus and the slaughter in Armageddon that took place with Native Americans in that time, they don't have any reason to trust the United States government. I mean, if you take a look at, oh shit, what is it? Mount Rushmore. That is sacred burial ground, and the United States violated a treaty and just went
Wow.
up there and put four presidents' heads on it. You know,
Wow. I
so
actually
why
didn't know
would they
that.
trust the U.S. government?
Right. And so it's a lack of empathy for me. It's just a selfish greed in our capitalized world where they just think that they can just do whatever they want wherever they want and to which they feel. It's just not acceptable. And when I say who they are, it's people that really go against the grain of indigenous people or other cultures and races in this country that should have a say in what goes on. But they think that they set the standards for literally everything in this country, and it's just unacceptable. Because
Absolutely.
I mean, okay, so if you're a part of the majority race, I mean, maybe you could just take a seat and take a listen real quick. And if the majority of Native Americans say for whatever reason they don't want it, and Joe Biden did what they said, I think that's really honorable.
Hmm.
Because
And here's the
as an African American, I'll let you tell. As an African American, if Joe Biden is listening to the Native Americans and getting things done, and he's still got 3 more years left, why don't every African American in this country stop marching and start trying to go to the source of Joe Biden and say, hey, listen, the Native Americans have gotten a lot of money and a lot of treaties pertaining to what has happened to them. What have we gotten? And it's not welfare.
No,
Okay,
you're absolutely right. I think, and
it's time.
when it comes to, like, I know now they're starting to push back on the Voting Rights Act. And the one thing that pissed me off about that is the hypocrisy in the Republican Party right now, because there were 15 Republicans that actually helped to extend the Voting Rights Act bill, right? There are 15 of those Republicans who signed off on that bill who are still in the House today, and they were like, "Well, we're not signing off on that." Okay, you did then. Why not now? So what's changed in your demeanor? And
Hmm.
there's this. I don't know if you've ever saw the movie Pocahontas.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's a. I didn't really watch the movie. I'm not really into musicals. Okay, but
Uh,
she sings this song that basically says,
I
"You
know all of
think you
them.
own whatever land you land on,"
Yeah,
and that's how these people felt. And when Joe Biden nixed that Keystone XL pipeline,
yeah.
they basically, TC Energy out of Canada, they were like, "Well, we're done with it. We're not going to keep going through this for 8 or 9 or 10 more years. All the money we've spent, we're done with it. There will never be an XL pipeline extension."
Right. And how
And
much
I
money were we
I think
spending on
that's
that? I
great.
think last night it was a lot of money. Okay. Running for that was going into this pipeline. And I think you said
Hmm.
something that really pointed out to me that it was only for how much percentage of Americans' oil?
It was, if I recall correctly from the research that I've done, it was maybe 15 to 25% of that oil was actually for America.
Right. So where was the other parts of the oil going to other countries or something?
Oh, it was going to be refined, and some of it was being shipped out to Asia. Some of it was being shipped out to Brazil. It was not, the majority of that oil was never for this country.
Wow. See, where were you last night? Oh my God. I gotta freaking holler at you.
Girl,
Wait,
I
wait.
was sleeping.
Oh my God. You should have been
I,
here last night because I hope those guys come back. Because listen, I'm not really well rehearsed with the Keystone. I'm a chick, man. I don't know. When y'all start talking about oil, when guys
no,
get involved and their guns, pop, 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 get the oil. I want to get out. I'm more like a
no,
person
you're
that,
doing great.
I like civil rights things. You know, I like talking
Hmm.
about Martin Luther King and how to just be a good freaking person. So I like that you know about it. But so they were trying to say like this is supposed to be good for America. But basically this might be another capitalization move of the elites who are trying to make money off of other countries.
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah, that's pretty much all it
why not
is.
keep the oil for ourselves then? Why not keep the
That's all
oil
it
for
is.
ourselves? Listen, I was born in Fairbanks, Alaska, and I used to get so jealous of my cousins because they got a thing called a dividend check. So a dividend check in Alaska is they be pumping the oil from Alaska, and the people of Alaska get a dividend. They get paid
Yeah.
money for
Yep.
the oil. So a lot of my family members are still. My great grandmother never left Alaska. A lot of my family members that are in Alaska never leave because they get paid a lot of money to live there. They actually have really good
Ex-
lives
exactly.
because of the oil. So why don't they take that money and let me know if I'm wrong? Is the money from the oil going to the indigenous people or to Americans? I don't think I
No,
would oppose that if they were pumping oil through the land and the Native Americans got a nice little incentive and also Americans in general, maybe that money can go into their education and things of that nature. Why would anybody oppose that? But what I think we're agreeing on is that it's not, though. It's just going to people in the business, in the oil business, and making more freaking money.
that's exactly what it was for. It was none of that money or profits were ever meant for the indigenous people whose land it was about to destroy.
Wait,
And
hold on.
what a lot of
Let me tell
people,
this person. Hey, commercial Sparky, do not come here and say that we are misinformed. If you have information, then please, I invite you to come here and talk to us. Okay? We're not over here insulting anybody. We are sharing our information. Okay? We are talking. We're chatting about subjects that are very important. Let's be
absolutely.
respectful. Okay, go ahead.
And me, I think the Native Americans with the amount of land that has been taken from the Native Americans with these pipelines and things, I think if some of those profits were going to the Native Americans in terms of uh, education, maybe a welfare process to help them get on their feet, maybe
Yeah.
to have a better life, I don't think they would be as opposed to it. But
Yeah.
not one single dime of that money has been put back towards the Native American lands that were destroyed
Right.
or that are being destroyed. And there was another issue with pipeline number 5,
Okay.
which runs, I believe it comes from Michigan through Illinois, but it runs through a lot of marshland and some of it is underwater. And people were opposed to that. They're like, look, if this thing starts to leak underwater, we'll never know about it until it hits the surface of the water.
Yeah, it
So
is interesting stuff, right? Yep.
it is. It's crazy.
And they said
It's
last night the
crazy.
two guys that are very smart guys. I just didn't like when they had to blame the Native Americans. I'm gonna stick up for the Native Americans always and always. Okay, so and he had a nerve to accidentally say Indian. I was like, don't you do that. But what he said last night was that it's that the spills are as small as like a cup of coffee. He says they're very well regulated, which is good to know. But he said the spills are happening in the water. And he was acting like that would be okay because it was a small amount. I'm like, no, I love animal life on land and also in water. And you can't deny that these fish are freaking popping up out of all over the place, floating in so many different areas. Is these spills in the land as
Hmm.
well as the water hurting our environment? And from my research, this is not good for the environment. Plus, they're called sand tar. A sand tar. I mean, it's just so interesting, you guys.
It's the dirtiest oil you can find.
What is I really want to know what sand tar is. Because this stuff is supposed to be like really gooey, not good for the environment. Also, they're burning some type of something. Excuse me if I don't know every term, but there's something
No,
burning.
it's
What is what?
the sand tar is probably like the dirtiest oil you can find because even though they extract the oil, it still comes with a lot of sand, a lot of other dirt, and it turns into waste. And all that waste has to be disposed of
Right.
somewhere in some way, shape, or form. and nobody thinks about that. That's why renewable energy is always going to be the way to go.
Okay, so let's talk about that. And yes, I do have oil sands, and like I can't believe I'm in the oil debates, but it's just it really is interesting. What does a clean oil mean to you? What kind of oil is that? What should we be fighting for to change? I mean, what do you guys think? What is
Well,
the end all be all a solution to all this? Do you have like some type of insight you can give us?
Non-corrupt
well,
people.
Yeah, that
Like
too.
like
bingo.
not
There's that.
the fact is like people, you guys are talking about the natives, but you're not equating that. If you follow and see who's running the reserves at this moment in time, you're gonna find some reserves that have built casinos, and they have their gross domestic product. And you'll have when you follow who the leaders, they don't even look native. They look like the caucus boys taken out, and they're literally not feeding the reserve. They're not building anything. They're leaving it as is, and they're just feeding their family. There's a lot of corruption. I'm in Canada. We talk about this every day. My homies are native. They tell me what's going on in the
Oh,
reserve. So
wow.
like, yo, like I understand you're giving reserve, but like Manitoba is like we call it the reserve of Canada because there's so many native people here. I grew up with native people. Like we
Wow.
know what's going on in the reserve, man. They're not feeding the reserve. I go on the reserve for sweats, and it looks like cabin life.
Wow. Okay, wait,
There's
hold
no
on. I love that you know a lot. I don't I've never really met a lot of Native Americans. I grew up in Hawaii. So excuse me, but let me just say this. Those guys that came last night that work for the oil and know a lot about the oil, they said that the Native Americans are to blame because of the treaties and agreements that they agreed to, that corruption is internal, and therefore they're trying to blame the oil companies, but they have already signed the agreement. Why sign the treaties if they aren't going to do what they agreed upon?
Well, the Indian Act was just to create indenturement amongst the natives and just put them on land. Like there's history that I pulled up. It showed like for them to get the treaties, they helped the Caucasians capture certain people and usher them off the land. That's how they even got
I
the
mean, that
treaties.
sounds really American. But what? So,
Yeah,
but listen,
that's
I'm a business person, so I believe like if you sign a stupid agreement without representation, that's boo boo on you. Did they do that? Did they sign something that they weren't aware of? Did they not read the small print? Who was representing them? Because clearly something is off.
well, in Canada, it's the Indian Act, and if you read the Indian Act in Canada, that's something that you wouldn't want to sign.
The Indian
Right.
Act. And why
Yeah,
is so? Did Canada and America make some type of agreement pertaining to this? They must have. Canada and America must have made an agreement pertaining to this oil. And what benefit does Canada have on this thing?
What Canada?
Well,
What benefit does Canada have with the oil?
Yeah, like, well, why? Let's listen. I asked a lot of questions, so I hope you guys got the answers. And if we don't know, we're
Please
gonna
don't.
find out.
Well,
Why would Canada, which is not a part of our country, allow for this oil? This thing goes from Texas all the way up our country, all the way up into Canada. I mean, Canada had to approve of this.
Look at we have a treaty between Canada and the United States, so we're allies. Unless it's war, unless it's war where we're denying something because we actually don't want to be a part of it. We actually are just going to support
Check
it.
out
That's
the
what
Jones Act. Does anybody know anything about the Jones Act? There's so many acts, man.
I'm actually looking it up right now.
Thank you. The Jones Act.
yeah.
But
So like,
I think this is something that needs to be discussed though, because I feel like we're onto something. You know, it's really a shame that our main media stream would rather push out content that divides us and keeps us arguing about Trump versus Biden and left versus right, instead of talking about actual facts historically and currently that we need to know. And if you don't know, now you know. You know what I'm saying? That's educating the public so that we can be a part of the solutions and not the freaking problems.
yeah, I get you on that. No, I agree. At the same time, I don't think I can clean a native house, as in like what I mean by that, it's not my house to clean.
But
It's not.
that's not nice though. We are
It's not
African.
my.
Listen, African
Okay.
Americans have indigenous blood, man. I looked it up. That's why I can't wait to do my test. We are a part of Native American blood. I hate to break it to you, but they freaking used us in this country, African Americans, and were using us as making babies. That we were hooking up with Native Americans, blacks and whites have been mixing for centuries. Look at him.
Right.
Look at our friend here. Look at him. I don't even know what you are.
Okay,
Now-
so look,
now-
I mix with my black woman. I mix with
Look
my
at
black
you.
woman.
I don't even know what you're. Oh, what a cutie.
We don't look
What a-
native. bro.
Can I
we
see your
have- what a
baby
pretty
again? I have
girl.
baby fever. Babe, can we have another baby?
What
We
a pretty
don't have
angel.
blood.
Oh, he's so cute.
We don't have native blood in us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
So I
we
understand.
do. Yeah.
I don't. I'm telling you, my mom's from Jamaica.
Your mom
But
is
we
from
don't-
Jamaica?
Yeah, my mom's from
Okay.
Jamaica.
Well, I
We
believe
don't-
I do because I'm half Creole. Like
So,
my dad actually looks a lot like him. I swear to God.
So like in the respect of everything, I believe the native people, they have enough numbers and they have communities that are actually thriving. That over here they built casinos and they have certain gross domestic products. They're making paper, but they're not linking with their own people. And so we're asking, oh, that's your pops. Hello.
That's my dad. I told you my dad kind of looks like him a little bit, but he doesn't
Yeah.
have dreads. He's in California and he said he wanted to try something new. I was like, okay, Dad, rock out, man. Like,
Hey, at least he's got the hair for
he
it.
thinks he's so cool. Like, stop.
At least he's got the hair
Yeah.
for it, okay?
I
Yeah.
respect everyone that needs to get things done, but I also believe like when it comes to a problem, I can't like if there's a domestic problem, I can't come in your house and say, "Yo, husband, can you please treat your wife properly?" You got to deal with that.
Hey, yo, husband, can you please buy her a Burberry bag? But listen, that's exactly what white people have been saying. So white people have saying, listen, you guys have Chicago infested with guns. Democratic cities are freaking plagued with violence because black people are killing other black people. Yet you want me to freaking pay for stuff that I had nothing to do with. Sorry about my ancestors, but there's not a day that I walk into this earth and freaking treat black people any different than any other American. And I'm just trying to come up to, I'm working 2-3 jobs to freaking take care of my freaking family. Why the hell do you want me to go to your town and your house and fix your shit?
It's true,
Right.
but then on the fact that if someone says that, you got to look at list of reparations, how they gave to the Jews, how they gave to the Native Americans, how they gave to the Asians. Every war crime that happened, they paid. Black people, they negated. They said no. So like, there's
Yeah.
so then you can go back and look at
Slow your roll,
lineages.
conservatives. I'm not conservative, but I just hear you guys on that point. But like, he's about to make a point that I probably will agree with. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so on that we have lineages where they haven't repaired anything. All they have is condensed things. They took jobs away. Where that's the industrial age. They put bills in forward where the white man gets a job first because
Yeah.
the slaves are doing the work, so they had all the work, they had all the skills, but they said we need to put our people first.
Right.
Okay, they introduced the crack epidemic, like the Jim Crow era. Like they've done so much, but they've never repaired anything. So I hear
Yeah.
what you're saying, and I feel for my native brothers because I tell them all the time, you guys need to gather in numbers and handle that business. Because I can't
see-
march with you, bro. I can't march with you until I see you all take it very seriously and not
Yeah.
just one collective reserve. It makes no sense for me to say, I'm not dealing with my home, which is people that look exactly like me,
Yeah.
but I'm going to step out on the front line for you. I'm
Well,
sorry
if we
to
go-
say, my friend, I
okay,
can't do that because
we-
it makes it all nonsensical. And I need to know
Yeah,
that.
but can I say this? I agree with you. Obviously, we're both woke. Oh, the baby face, the baby face. Hi.
That baby
got
face
three.
just completely derails my every thought.
Hi.
I
know.
I got 6 of these, and with the 6 of these, I know you probably have children. And
I
one
got
day
3.
my increase with your children, and we need to know that they have a foundation. They
Yeah.
need a foundation.
Okay, so let's
Okay,
let's
okay,
stop.
okay,
Let's
okay,
stop
good.
for a moment. Let's stop for a moment and take a look at this. Okay, when Donald Trump came into office, he signed executive order allowing the Keystone XL pipeline to go through. Native Americans started filing lawsuits in court to try to stop that. And at the meantime, while they were on some of these areas where they were breaking ground,
I'm
there
sorry,
were
slow down.
thousands-
I just want to ascertain everything you say. I'm from an island. Just slow down just a little bit, love. So you said Trump? You said Trump? What'd you say? Sorry.
When Donald Trump took office, when he
Okay.
was inaugurated, shortly
Right.
after he was inaugurated, he signed executive orders allowing the construction of the Keystone Pipeline extension, the XL
That's
pipeline
right. Yeah.
to go through.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
Then Native Americans gathered by the thousands on their native lands, their burial grounds. Some of them were actually these people's actual homes
Oh,
where they were about to be relocated. And they got into court and they tied up the legal system for the next 3.5 years
okay.
to make sure this would not happen. But they did gather in thousands. And in some of those cases where these people did gather,
Yeah.
they were literally, you had marshals coming onto the site, you had ICE coming onto the site, you had FBI, local law enforcement coming onto the site, and the Native Americans are standing there and they were in their beautiful headdress,
Oh, wow.
and these people were forcibly removed from the site without any kind of due process at all. So Native Americans have gathered by the thousands to try to stop these things from happening.
Yeah.
Okay, and like I said, I would not want my Native American land destroyed.
Right.
But when it comes to this oil from the salt flats of Canada, it was TC Energy that brokered a deal back in 2010 with the United States to transport the oil. Well, actually, it was about 2007. But Andrea, you were absolutely right. This pipeline goes from New Orleans all the way up into Canada. So you can just imagine, and they've had like something like 40, 45 or 55 different leaks across this pipeline with the dirtiest possible oil, which
Yeah.
creates contaminants. It destroys the land, and it's not something that can easily be. The only way you can clean an oil spill on land, you have to dig out that dirt all the way to the bottom where you find clean dirt. Okay, and that sounds weird, but when I say clean dirt, I mean how far did
Uncontaminated dirt.
this exactly?
And the
How far did
EPA,
this stuff seep?
I know this because I'm in real estate. EPA, they are environmental protection agency. I believe that's the
Correct.
acronym, and they are meant to keep the lands safe from what you call it, hazardous spills. And
Correct.
I mean, even if this stuff spills just a little bit, look at what he said. Look at what Swervin said, that you have to go that deep underground to have uncontaminated soil. So, one, it's not good for the environment. It disproportionately affects people that can't afford to move out. They're being pushed out of these areas where they're building these freaking pipelines, and what if they can't afford to leave? And let's not negate the fact that eminent domain is probably kicking out people out of their dream homes. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Giving them market value and tearing it down to build more oil. This affects not only the everyday people that are out next to this freaking thing, but listen, let's not deny
Absolutely.
that whatever they're burning. Listen, I was learning about it last night. But there's fuels burning or something like that. This stuff goes into the air, and the guy last night said that this toxin that goes into the
Methane.
air, methane, it stays
Yep.
in the air. He said for 16 months. Right, and,
Yeah.
and just look at our freaking country. Earthquakes happening all over the floor. Fracking is something that I definitely want to talk about. It's so interesting to me. I don't think this Keyline pipeline. I think from last night we all agreed that they don't do fracking for this one. But I
No.
mean, we're destroying our freaking environment when they're burning these fuels and it's going into the air. We're having hurricanes, tornadoes. I mean, the weather is changing. It's not good for the environment. It's disproportionately affecting people that can't afford certain things that are under the
Absolutely.
that are in the maybe in poverty level. And also,
Let
the
me
Native Americans have been fighting against it for over 10 years. So Joe Biden steps in and he said, you know what? This is only this is taking a lot of our money. We could put that money in other resources. And we're going to, he said, he vetoed it. So
Yeah,
what,
Joe
so
Biden
what's,
was like,
yeah,
this is done. But let me give you an
yeah.
example. A company that I used to work for, we were cable installation technicians. And this technician, he went out to a customer's trailer, and he drilled through their fuel oil tank by accident.
Oh,
But it dropped 19 gallons of fuel oil down into the soil. Okay, we
wow.
had to spend our company because of the fuel oil. The EPA had to get involved.
Yeah.
We actually had to drill down or dig down 47 feet before we found clean dirt.
Wow.
In the process of digging down, we had to relocate in this trailer park. We had to spend the money to relocate 7 trailers. It cost the company $890,000 for that
Wow.
one environmental disaster.
So
And
it's the probability of the risk factor, and taking preventative measurements. I feel like Americans just don't get what that means. To be honest,
exactly, the risk
whatever
is not worth the reward.
there you go. Mic drop. Okay. I mean, you just got to understand that. Why would you even want to even go there? And somebody said, somebody in the comments said, creating these pipelines would be better than shipping them over in the water. How do you figure? Has there been a spill? Has there been an accident? I mean, I don't know. Let me know.
Well, I mean, you have
What's
pipelines
the
that go
yeah.
through rivers. You have pipelines that go through ecosystems. You have pipelines existing right now in this country that go through Native American territories,
Yeah.
neighborhoods, not necessarily even not even Native American territories. There are some pipelines in this country that go right behind people's houses, and they have well water. So if this thing is leaking, if nobody is out there constantly monitoring it, it's going to continue to leak. So,
Oh, sorry about
Andrea,
Ryan.
let me
Ryan said, okay, go
let,
ahead.
Andrea, if I could, because I have
Yeah.
to get into a meeting in 2 minutes, but I
Oh,
want to
okay.
tell
I
you,
hope you come back
I,
later because I'm going to come back to talk about it. So,
well,
yeah.
I want to tell you my Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Yes.
cheating story.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Yeah.
so in the 8th grade, I was in Miss Smith's English class, and we had to write down as much as we could about Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech.
Yeah.
What I didn't know, I was trying to figure out, for some reason, I was trying to mathematically calculate what he was saying and how many people were actually there. Because my great grandfather was actually there at the front of the moon pool during his speech, right? And my
Yeah.
grandmother told me some great stories on it. And so as I'm trying to write these things down, I just reached underneath my desk and I grabbed a sheet of paper and I started writing down these mathematical equations that I knew in my head, and I'm
Yeah.
trying to calculate the amount of people that were there and why Dr. King was saying what he said. I didn't know on the other side of this sheet of paper was his actual printed speech,
Oh, so you,
right?
yeah.
So, so Miss Smith said, she said, Daryl, bring me that sheet of paper. And as I stood up and I looked at it, I was like, shit, I'm screwed. And I gave it to her. I said, Miss Smith, I had no idea that was on there, but I completely understand. And I
Oh,
took I took the time and I said, if I master his speech, if I learn his speech
yeah.
word for word, can I make this up? She said, you have until Friday. This was on a Wednesday afternoon. And I spent the next at least 24 hours listening to that speech, writing down what I could remember. And on Friday, I was able to deliver about 79 or 84% of Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" speech.
Okay, so
And
let's hear it. Let's do a
she gave
I'm Mrs. Smith. Let's hear it. Do you remember it?
Andrew, that was over 30 years ago.
Okay. All right.
But
Well,
but
listen,
Dr. King was an
yeah,
amazing man,
he
and I love him
was.
to death.
That's what's up. And so are you. You are a veteran. Everybody, please follow him. He's a
Thank
veteran. He
you.
fought for our country. He is pro A, but within reason and understands how to take precautionary measures. Okay. All
Absolutely.
right. All right. Come back
Thanks,
later.
Andrew. It was
All
good
right.
talking to you
Bye,
to you this
Swervin.
morning. I'm
All
glad
right.
you know.
Am I saying your name? I said Swervin. Yo, yeah, Swervin.
Yep, that's right. Swerving. You got it
There you
right.
go. All right, you guys, I gotta go show a few houses in the freaking cold. I'm gonna be in the freaking cold. I gotta freaking put my freaking boots on and a freaking jacket and go in the freaking cold. And you know what? I'm gonna need another freaking cup of coffee, and I'm gonna come back later. But listen, today is Martin Luther King Day. And with that said, what does that mean to you? Don't just freaking take the day off, yo. Don't just freaking be sitting over there scratching your freaking balls. Freaking at least do some research today and understand what this man had to go through and how he sacrificed his life so that we today can just obtain and within reach a dream that we would all be equal. And guess what? It has not happened today. It hasn't happened just yet. There has not been an equal playing field. Okay. I hate to break it to you. There's a lot of black people, brown people, white people still hurting still to this day. I don't know if you guys realize this, but there's a lot of poor whites that are not getting no media attention. For anything they do. Listen, I reported a white guy who died with a knee in his neck just like George Floyd. And ain't nobody talk about him but me. Cannon hit it. A little white kid got shot in the head, and ain't nobody talking about it. He didn't even get a hashtag. Okay, white kids are also being plagued by guns every single day in their suburban schools, being shot. Listen, nobody's freaking equal. Not in the media, not in this country. God said for us to love thy enemy. So for those of people who are trying to retaliate against white people because what has been done, that is not godly like. God, let me just tell you this. Martin Luther King had to go through hell and back as a father and husband to do what he felt intuitively right, that he felt God had pushed him to do. He was arrested. He was beaten. This wasn't easy. How dare our country even sit there and act like, oh yeah, so he just did a speech and therefore he needs to be honored. No, he went through hell. He went through hell and back. He got arrested. And he still said nonviolent, nonviolent. Martin Luther King, that Republicans like to freaking talk about, say, well, Malcolm X. Republicans love Malcolm X. They love talking about how he hated liberals. He didn't hate liberals. He hated white people. He said they were either the fox or the wolf. He didn't trust them. He said by any means necessary. Malcolm X was an extreme version of Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King said to be nonviolent. Martin Luther King was a peaceful person. He was a man of God. Okay? But that didn't come easy. They shot him, you guys. And some say he didn't even die there. He died in the hospital. They say the FBI freaking killed him. Okay? They have a picture of Martin Luther King Jr. in the hospital surrounded by white people. They say that he did not die he did not succumb from his gunshots. When would the truth come out? I'm sick and tired of everybody freaking celebrating Martin Luther King Day and nobody's demanding the real ultimate truth. And then some people have the nerve to say that he freaking raped a freaking girl. The FBI had a video recording of something that they said had happened. I'm telling you right now, Martin Luther King Jr. never did that, and I don't care what you're freaking talking about. If other people in that room were doing something that Martin Luther King didn't approve of, that's fine. But I don't think Martin Luther King would have ever freaking cheated on his wife Coretta. I am telling you that right now. I'm a black woman. I grew up with my grandparents who were together since they were 17 years old and died 2 weeks apart. My grandparents were together their whole freaking life. So I grew up watching black love. Let me tell you, a black man that loves a black woman would never have the audacity to cheat on her because he would lose a freaking limb. You guys think Lorena Bobbitt was crazy cutting off some guy's ding dong and throwing it in the woods? Try mess with Coretta. Can I get an amen? You're going to be missing something while Coretta's at the freaking house taking care of the kids. While you over here preaching to the world. And I need help with these goddamn kids. And you have the nerve to say that he's in a... Who was he freaking doing? Somebody in the church? Get the hell out of here. He would never cheat on his woman. I am telling you. Go look at the story of Martin Luther King and Coretta. They're trying to sit here and tear down their freaking love story. You guys are sick. This man loved his wife. He was a man of God. And any man who loves a man of God loves the freaking tail. Okay? And y'all know who the tail is. And try to flip the script. It's just disgusting. All the lies that go on with Martin Luther King Jr. I wouldn't know the truth. I'm 36 years old right now and I don't know the truth. I wouldn't know the truth. Let's demand the freaking truth from the FBI. Oh, the FBI. They're so freaking good. Well, tell me how the freaking John F. Kennedy got shot in the freaking head at a freaking parade. Who the hell did that? How'd you get a freaking gun at a freaking parade? Come on. Have the nerve to say that Native Americans are corrupt. No, America has been corrupt. Elites taking 90% of all the money. We all freaking slaves in this country. All of us. You got a birth certificate. You got a social security a card. You working in this country. You are a worker. Until you become a capitalist. And you only become a capitalist when you stop working and start dreaming. You understand? My God. Lord, thank you, Jesus. I want to know the truth. God dang it, I want to know the truth. Why can't some white person that's in the freaking White House right now snitch? You don't get... Listen, snitches get stitches, but you'll still survive. Hopefully. Die with honor. Is what I'm saying. We are all flawed. You know, I'm pretty sure white people today, I swear to God, they want to know the truth too. Like, I feel bad, like, for my fiance. He's white as hell. Wait, babe, what you making? Chicken? Babe, who you cooking for? Babe, who you cooking for? Is that for me too?
There's a whole stew in there for you. Yes, sir.
You cooking. He's cooking for himself. He's prepping. But listen, he's 33 years old. He literally doesn't care about anything historical. But I'm pretty sure, babe, do you want to know the truth, right? He's half Irish too. I'm pretty sure he wants to know the truth. I hope. I don't think he really cares. He's like, well, I got to work. And then I'm going to retire, and then I'm going to die. When are they going to release the FBI records of their spying on civil rights leaders? Exactly. And that's not even legal. Let's just think about that for a minute. How was it even legal to sit there and spy on a man who was a civil rights leader? Why would they be spying on somebody who was meant to be of good for society? What's the point of that? Like, if I had a dream right now, it would be to interview. Because one thing I learned in college, in the 1 year I went in business school, I actually went to college for criminal justice, and then I switched it because they said that you don't get paid a lot in criminal justice. So I was like, oh, I gotta go. But one thing I learned a lot is that I ask a lot of questions. I have so many questions. That's what I want to know today. It's like, what is the purpose of the FBI, and what kind of records do they have that we don't have access to? Can we demand those access? If somebody goes to the Supreme Court, the highest courts, and asks them that we want all the FBI's from the 1960 Civil Rights Movement to be released immediately. Yeah, they sure did. They recorded Trump because they know he was about to slip up. And he did. Malcolm X and the Black Panther Party. They spied on him before he won, then made a phony. Listen, I agree. If you're going to make that as a point that Trump has been spied on, okay, agreed. And listen, what he said in that bus talking about grabbing girls by the freaking kitty cat. Okay, that was in private. And I believe you're not supposed to be videotaping people without them knowing. I think it's illegal. You have to give people a warning. And listen, also because I'm in real estate, I want to let you guys know, you guys with your ring lights, you guys have to tell people that they're being recorded. Obviously we can see it, but you got to let people know. Don't be having your little ring light somewhere in the bathroom when I go into your house and have to take a pee pee and you see me squatting down and then have the nerve to not even leave toilet paper. Well, Sean, if you want to say that Trump is a victim of being surveillanced, you're probably right. And it's not right. But that doesn't negate the fact that things that he said. And let me tell you something. If I heard FBI footage of Martin Luther King, and we know what he sounds like. Nonviolent. I don't know how anybody could misinterpret his voice, okay? If we hear Martin Luther King on the FBI footage, and we hear him freaking say some nasty things to a girl, then yeah, okay, then touche. But I want to hear it. It's not right to surveillance somebody. There's got to be some sense of privacy. And listen, if the FBI is doing that, why don't they start surveillancing the whole world and get these guns, huh? I'm just saying. The Senate didn't allow witnesses or speeches for witnesses. It's just so deep. Okay, I gotta go show a house. I'll be back later. Today is Martin Luther King Day. Let's find out the truth. That's what I want. What do you guys want? You guys just want the day off? You just want the day off. I oughta.